Oh man, we're having way too much fun here on this industry heat section.
We're already in it.
Just way too hot. Too hot for YouTube.
Oh man. Um, we have something incredible coming up.
Yes,
An
we do.
incredible interview. I'm not going to destroy her name. You speak Italian. Your wife is
Yes.
Italian. You
Yes.
lived in Italy.
Well, visited.
Oh, visited.
Extended visits.
Extend, yeah, months at a time. I'm
Sì.
sorry. I lived in Italy too, and I don't speak Italian.
Però sì, mia
Come
moglie è
si
italiana
dice?
e parlo italiano molto bene.
Tutto bene.
Giorgia Lo Savio, produttora, anche produttora di musica, anche signora di tutti i negozi di il film.
Ah, bellissimo.
Grazie. So,
Bellissimo.
so that's coming next week, and we're very excited to bring you that. And in the meantime, we've got a lot of heat to get to this
Lot of
week.
heat.
Man,
Yeah, there is a lot going on. You know, last time I said a generational shift. It's not just a generational shift because of AI, but technology in general is really permeating the industry.
oh,
I mean, it's incredible.
yeah.
I actually, with one of my other companies, we went through an AI accelerator, and so the company's an Irish company. Believe it or not, my partner, in Ireland. So we founded the company in Ireland. So the accelerator we went through is by Trinity College, which is kind of like the Oxford of Ireland, and this AI company, Altada. And so we started. This is before Chat GPT, so this is 3 years ago. And Chat GPT again is what really introduced the regular public to AI. But I was already in that world because of the other company and all those things. And so they had me on a panel. They came to Miami because these companies, they do these tours. They call them road shows. So they had a road show, and I was on one of their panels, and I was the only person in the house just about that was not an AI person. But I, of course, had done my research and had already understanding of how AI was a part of the industry in general. So, for example, when at the end of the year you have Spotify, and Spotify gives like your favorite hits and your favorite songs and all those things, that's AI. AI kind of puts that all together. Now, no one really understood that then because ChatGPT had not come out, but I talked about that on the panel. And I talked about Netflix really being a technology company because Netflix, when you see all of those shows and movies and selections, the AI algorithm, it's winding through, and it really is understanding your choices and your preferences. And not only do they give you your choice and preferences that are your favorites, but it's your favorites throughout the day. So, what are you looking at this time of year, this time of month? It's gathering all of that data. So, it's already permeated into the industry. But that transformative shift now is front facing, and regular people are able now to utilize this AI. Now, what's incredible is now you have Paramount. Paramount, an old school company, some of
Yeah.
the biggest movie hits. But as we talked about before, Paramount was part of a media conglomerate, Viacom, and it was one of the companies that were underneath the umbrella of Viacom, along with MTV, along with Nickelodeon,
Comedy
along with
Central.
Comedy Central. And Paramount then, I'm going to say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, then became the banner. So it became Paramount. And then they launched the streaming network, Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus, in terms of streaming, they're not as competitive.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe they're about 3%, two to three
Yeah,
percent.
yeah, it's not a big number, but and it's interesting that the new CEO David Ellison. So obviously, a lot of this sort of tech forward rethinking of Paramount happened when the merger occurred with Skydance, which we've touched on before, is run by the Ellison family. David Ellison, the younger, is the CEO, and now the CEO and chairman of Paramount, the new Paramount Corporation, and his father. famously known for the founder of Oracle.
Larry
And
Ellison.
yeah, Larry Ellison, considered, usually he's between the number one, number two richest man in the world.
Yeah.
So he's
Number
like
three.
the real Tony Stark, somewhere in there, floating around. And so that's basically what's backing all of this, essentially, in this.
Oracle being one of the biggest tech companies in
Right.
the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And
Data
so
storage, servers, Oracle's behind I don't know how many companies, that
right.
utilize their services.
Yeah. So for example, and I think we talked about Pluto, right? It's part of Paramount, Pluto TV, but it operates on a separate tech stack than Paramount Plus. So the idea, one of the first orders of business from a technological point of view, is that Paramount is now going to have a unified tech stack. So all these different applications and streamers are going to now start to live on one server, one, like streamlining everything, which is essentially the play to catch up or try to catch up with Netflix, right? And to really exponentially now start to feed that monster with these content deals that they're making.
Yeah, but just imagine this. I mean, it's unique. And I think, again, 2 to 3% representational. The streaming network, just that's the stream, Paramount Plus, the
Right.
streaming. But this ecosystem eclipses Netflix. Well, it doesn't, because Netflix is all, they're doing movies and they're going to open up that $900 million, complex in New Jersey, and they have a couple of other, little pop-ups and these things. But Paramount, their library is deep for their movies and their television shows, because Paramount also owns CBS. And so this is CBS. People can watch that for free, you know? I mean, I don't know. I guess you still need antenna. I don't know how it really works, but you don't have to pay to watch CBS, but they also have this streaming service. But they have these
Right.
shows, which are some of the biggest shows, NCIS. They have all the Star Trek stuff.
Yeah.
They have a deep, deep library of
Absolutely.
indelible IP that, Netflix doesn't have that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they'll be able to take advantage in so many ways, not only of the IP, but we talked about the other companies. MTV has its own legacy stuff. Nickelodeon has its own net legacy stuff. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Obviously, Comedy Central with South
Comedy
Park,
Central,
The
South
Daily
Park.
Show. Yeah. Yeah. They are stacked with IP because they are, a legacy media company that has over 100 years, like we were saying at the beginning, of shows and IPs, everything from The Godfather, Forrest Gump, Top Gun, Interstellar, like Titanic, like major, major films, Indiana Jones. A lot of folks remember the original MCU was launched via Paramount, not Disney, right? So the Iron Man original, the Thor movies, now obviously that's all under the Mouse House, but originally those were distributed all by Paramount, the Transformer franchise, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So just imagine. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, the
J-
potential is there because they have now the sort of uh, tech backing and deep pockets of the Skydance slash Oracle people, plus the legacy media side with the IP, and they're also interested in theatrical. So they're willing to move deep into that space. I think a lot of that has to do with David Ellison being a big fan of movies, and that's a lot of the deals that they put together under Skydance to co-finance some of these big movies. They also have the Mission Impossible franchise, so they see a
yeah,
future in both, which makes sense because if you look at sort of the latest trends in what makes, or partially what makes a movie a hit on streaming, or what we used to call ancillaries, right, is if it had a strong theatrical run, if it had the buzz, the big flashy premiere, all that promotional engine behind a major theatrical release only adds value to the project, to the film, that once it's on streaming, makes it an event.
yeah. And Skydance itself has deep pockets. When I say deep pockets, you have money because you have Larry
Yes.
Ellison, um,
Yes.
but deep pockets in terms of legacy IP.
Yes. Yeah. And it looks like they are recapitalizing on that. They had shut down, for example, Paramount Television for a while. Now they're bringing it back. So they're also looking at the TV streaming side of things, and making new deals there. And even beyond the whole South Park deal, which was a huge $1.5 billion deal, the big UFC deal, $7 billion acquisition to start streaming live sports and UFC. They also have Taylor Sheridan and all of his shows, massive
Yeah.
audiences. So
Taylor Sheridan, which is interesting. He was on this show called Sons of Anarchy, which was one of the biggest shows. Tommy Flanagan, who played Chibs, is in one of my projects, The Beach Chronicles. But he was what they call fifth on the call sheet, meaning, you're just
solid character actor.
Yeah, he's a character actor, and so he wanted more money, so he went to the producer. He's like, I want more money. The producer came back at him, and it's like, look, you're number 5 on the call sheet. Be happy. You're gonna be nothing but number 5 on the call sheet. He was like, okay.
He took matters into his own hands, not unlike another legend that was at Paramount, Robert Evans, right? The kid stays in the picture. He was also an aspiring actor, and essentially what happens there is that he goes, I want to take matters into my own hands. I want to determine my own destiny. So he converted to being one of the greatest producers and studio heads in the history of Paramount by making that switch. It's very similar to our friend Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, who then he came up with Yellowstone. Yellowstone, one of the most indelible properties in history. Because you have Yellowstone, and then it had 3 spinoffs. He bought a huge ranch where they shoot all of this stuff, and he rents out the horses and rents out all the things. And so you have that whole franchise. You have all of that stuff alone. You have that. I mean, it's crazy. One thing I wasn't sure of, and I had to look it up. Skydance, they co-pro'd Luck, which is an animated film. That animated film
that was for Apple TV, right?
Apple TV. And I have an association with Luck because we have a show that has Colin O'Donoghue, who played the leprechaun. And maybe we'll post some video. He did a little video for my daughter in doing the voice of that in Ireland. This is another Irish connection. But at any rate, wow, Jack Reacher, crazy. This is how deep that goes. This is the Jack Reacher movie with Tom Cruise. This is how deep this goes. They already had this Star Trek because they did Star Trek Beyond, so they already had a Star Trek connection. Life, which is a movie I love. Air, incredible movie. Academy Award winning movie. I don't know how I can't remember how many. You mentioned the Mission Impossible. That's just Skydance, though. That's just Skydance alone.
Right. Yeah.
And when you talk about media conglomerates, this is pouring gasoline on it because this is media conglomerate now met with the tech component. And this just kind of takes it to a whole nother level.
Oh, it absolutely
to a whole
does.
nother level.
Yeah, it absolutely it makes it a big player in that scene, and we'll see how far they're going to push it, but it's an interesting combination at the right time as technology is starting to creep its way more into the industry between virtual production models, AI. Hopefully it's ethical AI. We'll see how everything grows organically or not.
Well, we're still waiting on that case, though. We're still waiting on that copyright infringement case.
Right. The IP is a big issue in AI.
Yeah, because the large language models, they're using whatever IP out there to come up with their A. And if they find that the large language models, which is the models that comb the internet to, come up with what that AI is going to be, if they find that it's utilized copywritten material, man, that's going to reverberate in such a way throughout the industry and throughout content that's already been created, and content that's going to be created in the future. So, we're just waiting to see about that. But as far as technology goes, just in general, if you're not on that side, you're not a player. You're not a player. And so I said gasoline, rocket fuel. This puts rocket fuel on Paramount. And so, we had this little back and forth just over text about the stock.
Oh, yeah. It's become what they call the young people now a meme stock.
The
game stock.
We're not old. but
Us young folk, that's what we refer to it as,
yeah.
meme
Um,
stock.
yeah, it's a meme stock. You know, I bought this is like 4 years ago, some AMC 4 years ago. Not, not a lot, but just to, when like, oh, theaters are having issues and all that. I was like, okay, I mean, what could I do? It's not like I'm putting a lot of money in, but what can I do to support this industry? So I bought some Cinemark, which is another theater chain, and some AMC. The Cinemark was still doing great. It's like killing it. Well, I don't know. It's like up 20%. Um, and then I had the AMC, and that was taking a nosedive. It was like, what? And then boom! Next thing I know, it just shot through the roof. I was like, yes. And so then I sold some of it, I kept some of it, and then it went down again. And then it shot through the roof again. I was like, okay, let me just sell all of this, and I did okay with that stock. Now it's like down in the dumps. And so that's what these kind of meme stocks, when we say meme stocks, it's, they become, not because of market. This, in terms of Paramount, is dictated by the market. But that AMC shot up because you had this kind of inflation with people like maybe just kind of supporting AMC and theaters and all that stuff. Um, Cinemark, like I said, is doing well because it's really moving with the growth in terms of theaters. Theaters have been doing better, in the industry. But Paramount, which I bought, again, supported the industry back a few years ago, it was down 70%. Down 70%, even, a couple of months ago. And then these talks started happening. It went up, and then it's like, is the merger going to happen? It went down, but the merger happened. Boom! Rocket fuel.
Rocket fuel, yeah, yeah. And look, obviously, it's speculation, and it's we're not here to give legal advice on stock trading, so disclaimer.
I'm
But
just talking about my personal
your personal,
stocks.
yes, but yeah, and it seems like that's put a lot of renewed energy into that particular brand, and this merger finally going through after the back and forth of a year and a half or whatever it was with the FCC because of the CBS involvement and being an over-the-air network. But finally, everything looks like the dust has settled. And even AMC, we were going to talk about how the CEO of AMC said that they do see Paramount helping to boost theatrical releases under this new Skydance operation. And one of the big projects I know that they're fast tracking is the third Top Gun, which is in a bit of a back and forth legally on its own.
Yeah,
So, you know, just
it's
for
gonna
some of the,
happen.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to happen. But there was some issue on Maverick with one of the potential co-writers who was a cousin slash assistant of one of the writers that said he did more work on it than they actually credit him for. And now he's suing. And there's a counter thing now with Paramount, but I'm sure they'll clear it all up. But it
yeah.
looks like
I'll give him
big,
some money.
yeah,
Larry Ellison money.
exactly.
Again, Larry Ellison, I think he has like a $250 million yacht.
Right. Yeah. So they have strong backing, let's just say, to get those deals done, whatever that means, and moving forward. But there is a lot of enthusiasm in these kind of renewed big tent, especially with how successful Maverick was. A lot of folks in the industry from Spielberg, et cetera, believe that that was the one movie that actually saved cinema, saved
Yeah,
theaters,
yeah,
after the pandemic, which is incredible. So it looks like this new company is willing to ride that horse and keep pushing in that direction, which is exciting.
yeah. I mean, it boils down to, if you have the money, it's that money investment, and then on the other side. But you can forecast things a lot better when you're not stressing, about. And then they're streamlining again, so they're going to have efficiencies um, that other companies can't have, wouldn't have. Even so, I mentioned ChatGPT. ChatGPT's parent company now, they are going to be hosted on Oracle servers.
Right. That's that famous tech stack that David Ellison was talking about.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a consolidation in a lot of ways. But, if you aren't part and parcel to this, in terms of the industry, you just have to ride the wave, and you have to have an understanding of how all these pieces fit together, because this is it. Generational shift. It's like two generational shifts.
Yeah, it's a double shift, and I guess just really the perfect timing where the industry is heading, anyways. But very excited to see where all this goes and how the other legacy media companies like Disney, for example, Comcast, NBC Universal, how are they going to follow suit now, knowing that there's really like this new benchmark now that Paramount is setting.
Yeah. And this is also great because Skydance is, you know, about movies and theaters and, you know, that theater, I think the theater experience is going to really take off. You mentioned AMC, but I think, just in general. And look at this IMAX, Christopher Nolan, The Odyssey, his latest film. It's already sold out. The IMAX screens, the
Right.
70 millimeter IMAX screens, which is very specific. We have one in Fort Lauderdale. I saw his last film on that IMAX 70 Oppenheimer on 70 millimeter. Wow, what an experience. And then I tried to see Sinners. I couldn't see Sinners because it sold out in the first, 15 minutes or something. They had a second screening that I found out sold out in 20 minutes. And now, and I think we talked about this anyway, the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's latest, that 70 millimeter, all those screenings are sold out and they're still in production. So yeah, I think that what's that saying? The demise has been grossly overstated. What movie is that? I can't remember the
That's a
movie. I
good
got to
one.
look it up.
Yeah, we'll look at it.
Yeah, the theaters aren't going to have. They'll be fine. Theaters are going to be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, and look, as the financial models shift, and I think part of this sort of tech forward idea is that budgets will start to come down eventually for production, and that will allow the break even number to come down, which is crucial for theatrical, right? Is when you have to have this nut that you have to like recoup of a 250 $300 million movie plus another 200 million in P&A and all that stuff, you have to hit $500 million just to break even.
Yeah,
If there's a way to lower that a little bit, I think it'll give more movies more chances to at least break even, if not turn a profit before they go to the streaming.
yeah, and I think even for smaller budget movies, if you can maximize all of these kind of components to help to streamline not only production but also the marketing and the kind of getting the word out and um
Right.
that's going to be the winners in
Yeah.
all of this.
Yeah. And like I think we were saying, like also just kind of maybe starting to bring back some of these mid-tier movies, right? Like they
Yeah,
don't all have to be the $200-300 million franchise tentpole. Like, there used to be a great market for, 20-30 million dollar comedies and rom-coms and dramas. And, they don't all have to be, the big 200-300. So if Paramount maybe, that they might want to play for that market as well. And we're seeing how Naked Gun 2 is kind of holding its, or sorry, the Naked Gun reboot holding its own, and more films like that kind of make creeping their way back into theatrical as well.
yeah, well this is the year of original the original. So we mentioned Sinners, and this is really incredible. These kind of original IPs that aren't sequels have been
Yeah, so far,
dominating.
yeah, Warner Brothers' biggest hits of the year have all been original movies, which is interesting.
Yeah, so let's keep it cranking. Um, but speaking of movies in the theaters, I did see
What
a
do you got?
movie that's been out for a couple of weeks, and I refuse to not see this in the cinema. So I'm gonna give a quick 2 minute review. Fantastic Four. I loved it. It was really, really well done. Um, there's some parts, eh, maybe it's story building. So some parts were a little bit slower, but super unique. It was set in this kind of retro Jetsons, 1950s feel, but it still felt modern. It still felt not only modern, but ultra modern. Sleek, Pedro Pascal, wow. The everyman's actor, just he killed it, you know? And look, this guy is dynamic. I saw him in this movie. Wow, it's funny. It's like a Too Short, Freaky Tales kind of weird movie where the rapper Too Short, they used his song and him kind of as a central element of this movie. But he played like a hitman, like a contracted thug. And he felt like that in that movie. In Fantastic Four, he felt like Reed Richards. super smart, measured, kind of, every situation, you know, thinking about all the dynamics. He was Reed Richards. Vanessa Kirby, incredible, incredible, Miss Fantastic. The strength and subtlety and nuances that she put in that role. Uh, Look, I'm a Vanessa Kirby fan. I've been watching her since The Crown was the first thing that I saw her in, and the growth in Mission Impossible. I'm not going to go into all of her roles, but you know, this is the big leagues. Marvel, it's as big as it gets, and she delivered. She really delivered. Um, the Thing, who I watch him on The Bear, and he won an Emmy for The Bear. He Even though it's CG, you know, he gave it. He really added a dynamic to that character that was at once funny, you know, strength of character of what the Thing is. He and Michael Chiklis, who played the Thing in the past Fantastic Four, not the Josh Trank one, but the one before that. He is, had been my favorite thing. Michael Chiklis is in one of my projects too, The Beach Chronicles, and he has a movie coming out. You got to watch that movie. It's a sports movie, pretty incredible. It's by the Angel Network, so look that up. But the Thing, amazing. The ensemble cast, really came together on this. And another actress that I've been watching since Ozark, uh, she really, as the Silver Surfer, a lot of people were questioning whether that was going to work, and she was a dynamic Silver Surfer. The way they represented Galactus, which they have not ever represented him well in any visual medium that I've seen it in any motion visual medium that I've seen him in. They really represented him, and so the dynamics in terms of the casting worked, the story worked, the set design, and I saw this in IMAX. So the set design, the strength of the story, I would say that this is what Marvel was known for when it first started, this sort of new phase of what Marvel is, so all the way back to Iron Man 1, which is unique. These kind of unique movies, these unique stories didn't feel like paint by numbers. So I got to give it up. The Fantastic Four, it really did it.
Oh,
So
wow. Great review. Yeah, it's
yeah,
I haven't seen it yet, but it definitely seems like it's putting Marvel Cinematic Universe sort of back on track to where they were, after Endgame and all that. So
yeah,
we'll see how this next phase goes for Kevin Feige over there.
yeah, yeah. I think he's still gonna have a job.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, I saw Ironheart as well, which is on Disney Plus, and that was
All right.
also super
Yeah,
unique. I'm not going to give a review on that. I'll do that next time.
sure.
But that was also super unique. So they've gotten their mojo back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miami has a mojo now, though. A
Oh
mojo
boy.
that just moved into town.
Yeah, this is
A
very
legacy mojo.
very hot mojo.
Yeah, it
so
is hot.
recently announced the Playboy corporate headquarters will now be moving to Miami Beach. They're taking their talents to South Beach. And this is going to be interesting because it's forever been associated with Los Angeles. Everybody knows, Hugh Hefner and the Playboy Mansion and all that stuff. But now it looks like they're coming to South Beach and they're bringing their whole corporate empire with them. They're taking over a really unique space close to Lincoln Road. And what's going to be interesting is that it's also going to feature a content studio, apparently. So they're going to be doing, photography there, podcasts. They're getting into the creator market. So it looks like they're actually making, pardon the pun, a play for the OnlyFans.
No, pardon. That's a great pun. Run
And
with it.
So they have their own platform apparently to compete with that, with some of their talent and models. They're also, really a lifestyle brand company now. Everything from clothing, apparel. Apparently, there's going to be a brand new Playboy club that's going to be opening on the beach as well, to go as part with the corporate move and the content studio. So it's going to be very interesting. And according to the CEO, it said the vision is to create world-class content and experiences that resonate globally. And Miami Beach provides the perfect environment for that ambition. And apparently the
Oh,
city commissioners in Miami Beach, there's this commissioner, Joey Magazine. Of course, his name is Joey Magazine.
Joy Magazine.
This
Come
is not
on,
a,
man.
not a,
It
this is
writes itself.
this is not the Onion. It's helping to sort of lead the
We
charge.
have
And
we have we have to interview Joy Magazine, man.
we got to get Joey on. Bringing this interesting, again, talk about legacy media companies to Miami Beach. So let's see what happens. But it could be interesting. I mean, technically, a lot of folks don't know that the national capital of OnlyFans is Miami. The
Yeah.
most number of content creators. So I think because Playboy is also kind of making a play for that market, plus the fact that Miami has become this sort of global kind of fun in the sun destination for the rollers, so the high rollers. Yeah.
It's not just Miami, it's South Florida.
Yes, the whole region. Yeah, it's just
It's South
exploded.
Florida. It's
Yeah.
well, it hasn't it's exploded. Oh my God, man. Come on, dude. Uh, so so with that being said, a lot of people don't know that South Florida was the porn capital of the world because they
Yeah.
were shooting a lot of porn up in
Right.
West Palm Beach.
Yeah, it was pretty much
The most. I mean,
yeah,
in the world, in the country. I don't know about the
yeah,
world,
yeah.
but in the
Other than
country.
obviously the San Fernando Valley, if you watch was it Dirk Diggler, that great
Yeah, I mean,
movie?
they shoot a lot there, but that was then.
Yeah,
Miami is undefeated.
right. Yeah,
You know, my mom, you know what she always says? She's like, shake the country.
there you go.
It all kind of falls down
Yeah,
to falls to the bottom.
but
You know,
yeah, the
all
Playboy
kinds of
vibe
stuff.
always been a little more upscale, classier. Let's see if they bring that vibe to South Beach. But it's interesting how even them as a legacy media company has evolved from the print magazine to now all these digital media contents, all the licensing deals that they have for, like I said, everything from apparel to all these other kind of experiences, the clubs, the nightlife, everything just kind of like this lifestyle brand is essentially what they're known as now.
Yeah, and some of the best writers, back in the day and up until now, but
Yeah,
Hunter S. Thompson,
Hunter S.
you know,
Thompson, there's a famous
Truman Capote.
yeah, movie critic
Yeah,
that wrote there for a very long time as well. So, they always had their kind of pulse on culture and entertainment and all that kind of stuff. Has always
yeah.
been part of the vibe.
So now they're gonna get their sexy. Well, I don't know if their sexy ever went away. I mean, I'm not reading Playboys or anything, but
It's
I guess
classy. It's classy.
get the Miami sexy back.
There you go.
So one last little note because there's a show that I really loved when it came out. The second season is still going to come out, I think September 1st or so. But this show called Wednesday, and Wednesday is on Netflix. Speaking of zeitgeist, that show became a lightning rod, like just incredible. And I for sure knew that I was going to watch the show because one of my favorite directors, he didn't come up with it because the Addams family has always been around. And Wednesday is a specific character in the Addams family. But one of my favorite directors is the creator of Wednesday. And boy, does it feel like him. I mean, it's uncanny. And so I just watched the second season. And sometimes sophomore efforts they drop the ball and you never know, with these sophomore efforts. But it really really crushed it. I mean, I watched the first episode and I felt like, but it's character building. Usually the first episodes of these series are, kind of getting you back acquainted or getting you acquainted with the story And then by the third episode, it really picks up steam, and it's, it is what it is. And so it is a similar premise. There's some mysteries happening, and then Wednesday trying to solve this mystery. And I was like, oh, yeah, same stuff. But it's not, because it builds on the characters, and it shows this kind of arc, this growth of the Wednesday character. There's a dynamic between her and her mother, which, you know, this show is not necessarily for kids. It's a lot of adult themes. I'll put it to you that way. And they fleshed out a lot of the other characters. Luis Guzman, who plays the dad, who I've loved him in so many things, just about everything I've ever seen him in. And I met him actually at the Miami Film Festival a few years back. Maybe I'll put a little picture on the website. But his character, has more depth. They bring in Pugsley, who's the brother, and his character has this whole kind of thread, this whole arc that's really part of the central core of the story. And again, there's growth even, from the Wednesday character. Isn't that kind of central tenets? Character development, story development. And so, I really do have to give it up. This is, I would have to say, one of my favorite shows right now. So
there you go.
I'm putting my dibs in.
I think you did sneak 2 reviews in.
I snuck 2 reviews in there. I'm putting my dibs in for Tim Burton. Again, one of my favorite directors, producer, writer, directors. Tim Burton comes from old school Disney. He's like an animator for Disney, but I think they fired him. He's doing kind of crazy stuff. And then, he went on to direct Batman. I've seen just about everything he's done. Edward Scissorhands, amazing, amazing, amazing. The Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't have it in here, but yeah, I have like a couple of posters. I even have the little doll and all this stuff. His aesthetic is all over that thing. And so auteur, he's more like an auteur. And so that's 2. We have to come up with a thumbs up or what is it going to be?
I don't know.
Fist bump. I don't know. We got to come up with something.
It's
a 5 fire. It's a 5 alarm fire.
A 305 fire.
Yeah. At any rate, we'll come up with something. But for now, it's a 5 alarm fire. Fantastic Four, I give it like a 4 alarm fire.
All right.
Yeah. So there you go.
Another one.
This is our industry heat for this week. We didn't even give our names. I'm Kevin Sharpley.
They know who we are. Come on. We're influencer level now.
Oh, okay.
We're going to start offering premium content like our friends over there at Playboy and such.
Yeah. That's JL Martinez, sponsors Kajik Multimedia, Cinevision, Kamacol, and Miami Media and Film Market.
Absolutely.
This is our 3rd industry heat. Love it. We're dropping it like it's hot. Yes. Coming up, Georgia.
La Savio.
Thanks for listening and watching.
Yes, dale.
Boom.